Hello, 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 and welcome to a new IELTS Express vocabulary focus. Today we'll focus on health, and the skill we'll be focusing today is reading. You're going to do a lot of reading today. For the vocabulary part, we're going to learn nouns for symptoms and verbs for treatments. Then we're going to learn how to recognize synonyms and collocations. And for our exam practice, we're going to do true, false, not given questions, which are quite tricky. Okay, so again, get your notepad ready and let's get started. We are going to start with vocabulary, with health problems. We all have health problems, unfortunately. And the first one is addiction. Yeah, I do hope, I think that everybody has an addiction. It's the condition of taking harmful drugs and being unable to stop taking them. Not only drugs, but TV can be an addiction as well, or nowadays it's Instagram. Allergies, be careful with the plural. You drop the Y, you put IES. If you have a particular allergy, you become ill or get a rash when you eat, smell, or try something that does not normally make people ill. For example, food allergies can result in an enormous variety of different symptoms. Then you have cancer. No, that's not the horoscope, not the sign. It's a disease. Cancer, which is a serious disease in which cells in a person's body increase rapidly in an uncontrolled way, producing abnormal growth. Yep. Next one is an uncountable noun, dehydration. And you're suffering from dehydration, like me right now. If you lose too much water from your body, cholera causes severe dehydration. Diseases is an illness that affects people, animals, or plants. For example, one which is caused by bacteria or infection, such as the rapid spread of diseases in the area. Infection. An infection is a disease caused by germs or bacteria. For example, ear infections are common in preschool children. Well, I have to be careful with my kid. Moving on, obesity. It's an uncountable noun. Someone suffering from obesity is extremely fat. That's self-explanatory. For example, the excessive consumption of sugar leads to obesity. And the very last one is stroke or strokes. If someone has a stroke, a blood vessel in their brain bursts or becomes blocked, which may kill them or make them unable to move one side of their body, what we call in Romanian AVC. For example, he had a minor stroke in 1987, which left him partially paralyzed. Okay, now we're going to move on to verbs associated with treatment. Now we have administer. To administer. If a doctor or a nurse administers a drug, they give it to a patient. Paramedics are trained to administer certain drugs. To admit, now here admit refers to hospitals. If someone is admitted, be careful with the double T, to hospital, they're taken into hospital for treatment and kept there until they're well enough to go home, or they die there, unfortunately. For example, she was admitted to hospital with a soaring temperature. Diagnose. Yeah, and be careful with the plural, diagnosis. Yeah, if someone or something is diagnosed as having a particular illness or problem, their illness or problem is identified. It should be identified. Almost 1 million people are diagnosed with colon cancer each year. Ugh. Discharge. When someone is discharged from hospital, they're officially allowed to leave or told they must leave. Yeah, probably because they don't have enough beds. He has a broken nose but may be discharged today. Then we got examine. If a doctor examines you, so you go to an examination room, he or she looks at your body, feels it, okay, or does simple tests in order to check how healthy you are. For example, another doctor examined me and could still find nothing wrong. Well, are you sure he was a doctor? Then we have screen, which is also a noun, but in this kind of situation is a verb. To screen for a disease means to examine people to make sure that they do not have it. For example, men over 50 are routinely screened for prostate abnormalities. And the last one, which is well known. We've used this word for the past 2 years. Vaccinate. A vaccine is a harmless form of the germs, that cause a particular disease. If a person or animal is vaccinated, they are given a vaccine, usually by injection, to prevent them getting the disease. For example, dogs must be vaccinated against distemper. All right, and this is with the vocabulary. We'll be moving on, obviously, to our first warm-up. You've got 1, 2, 3, 7. 7 pretty words which describe different disorders. Some of them are associated with rich countries and some of them with poor countries. Which is which? Have a look. You've got 1 minute. Here it goes. Okay, time's up. Don't forget to check your answers in the description, and you can also write your answers in the comment section and see what other people say. All right, we're ready to move on to our first activity. As I told you, there's a lot of reading. You're going to read the passage, and then you have to compare your answers to the warm-up to see if you were right. So this is a way for you to check whether you're right, or you can check the answers in the description. You've got 2 minutes to read these 2 passages, and I will really like you to stick to the timing, because this way you're going to improve your reading speed. Okay, here it goes. Basically, you should be listening to some, I don't know, chill music or like a flute solo. Unfortunately, I don't have this, so you can do whatever you want. All right, I do hope you have checked your answers. Now we're going to move on to the next activity, and for the next activity you're going to need the text. So you can either take a screenshot, or you can pause and you can go back and forth however you feel comfortable. But For the next activity, you have to identify words in the previous passage, from activity 1, which could be replaced by the words in bold below. You've got 4 words in bold: disorders, misuse, germs, vaccinated. And before we actually get to it, you've got 2 minutes for this one, I would like to give you a little tip. In the IELTS reading exam, you may have to indicate whether statements about the passage are true, false, or not given. This is what we're going to do in the exam practice. And you can often recognize a true statement if you can match it to a part of the passage that expresses the same idea but in different words. And this is where the important part comes in. You have to know how to recognize synonyms, which are words with approximately the same meaning. And synonyms can really help you to do this. For example, allergies are common in wealthy countries. Now, another synonym for wealthy would be allergies are common in affluent countries, which you also had in the previous text. Okay, so I'm going to give it 2 minutes to identify the words in the previous activity. Here it goes. Okay, we're done, and we're moving on to activity number 3. Here you've got 5 words which describe actions, so they're verbs that medical staff may take when a person enters hospital. You have to number the verbs from 1 to 5 to show the order in which they typically occur. Now, again, another exam tip. In the IELTS reading exam, you may have to complete gaps in sentences with words from a reading passage. The important thing here is to recognize collocations. Collocations are words that commonly go together, and they can really help you do this. And if you look carefully at the words on either side of the gap, you may be able to use your knowledge of collocations to choose the right words. For example, have a look at this one. The patient was blank for cancer. Yeah, so we have was, so it means that we need a verb in passive. So the patient was treated for cancer. Yeah, so you have to look each side of the gap so you can figure it out. The same thing here. Yeah, have a look at the verbs and try to put them in the correct order. You've got 1 minute to do this. Here we go. Time's up. Moving on to the very last activity before we do our exam practice. Again, we're going to have action words here. They're all in the past. We've got the regular verbs. You've got 5 sentences, but here the focus is on the prepositions after the gaps. And the prepositions after the gaps will help you choose the right word. So you have to complete the sentences below with the words from the box. We've got one word, one sentence, so there are no extra alternatives. Read the sentences very carefully, look at the preposition after the gap, and complete the sentences. 2 minutes. Okay. What I want to tell you is if you finish faster than the allotted time, you're free to just scroll and move over to the next activity. You don't have to wait until time's up. And we're moving on to our exam practice. Here we're going to have 7 questions. The first 4 are true, false, not given, which are really, really tricky, especially the not given one, because many candidates with whom I've worked, they have been trying so hard to find information, and obviously it wasn't in the text, so this means it's not given. What I'd like you to do is to have a look at the sentences, at the questions actually. You might want to take a screenshot to have them, and then you will read the text. The tip actually that I give you here is to look for synonyms for key terms. Okay, so you can take a screenshot, look at the questions, find the key words, and then try to locate them in the text. Here we go. We have 1 minute for this. Okay, I've just realized that 1 minute was too much for 4 questions, but you could have written them down, so you have them written. Now, here we go to the text. 2 minutes to read the text and to decide whether the previous 4 questions are true, false, not given. And then we're going to move on to completing sentences. And again, you have to use the same text. Okay, so here it goes. 2 minutes to read the text. Okay, I do hope you have managed to answer questions 1 to 4, and now we're moving on questions 5 to 7. We've got 3 questions where you have to complete the sentences using no more than 3 words from the passage above. So basically you have to use the same words from the text. This is what you're going to have in the exam. The instruction is going to be very clear. As you can see, no more than 3 words is capitalized and it's in italic. I think it's also it's in bold, so you see it very clearly. However, there are a lot of people who disregard and they write more than 3 words. Everything more than 3 words, or everything that's 2 words and a number, is automatically considered wrong. So I would like you to have a look at these questions. You can go back to the text, or you can have take 1 minute to answer the questions, and you can scroll back to the questions. However, if you're comfortable, you've got 1 minute for this one. Be careful with your spelling because you have to copy words from the passage. Here it goes. Okay, and it's done. And this is the end of our lesson for today on health. I do hope you found it useful and If you found it useful, then give me a thumbs up to show your appreciation. Share it with your friend, with your best friend, with your sworn enemy, whoever you want. Don't forget to turn notifications on and to hit the subscribe button. And if you have any suggestions how I can make, I don't know, the lessons even more accessible and efficient for you, so you can read better or you can answer the questions better, please let me know and let your suggestions in the comment section. Until next time, stay healthy, keep practicing. Bye.